Who else we got here? Marie Iverson and Amanda, hi. How are you? Okay, we're on Facebook. Let me just pull it up on the phone. Let's see. How you been?
Really good. Really good.
It's been what, like 3 weeks?
Last time I just calculated it and it was 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. God, so much has changed in 3 weeks.
I know. I feel that.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see. God, the electronics have been going crazy today. But you know what? It's like that every day, it seems like. Everything's just becoming a norm. All the abnorms becoming a norm.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Courtney Beck. All right. So let me just share it out to the network. All right. Turn off the volume. 13 people counting together. Just getting. Oh. All right. And share the group. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm slow motion. I know it. I apologize.
I think you're amazingly quick, Todd.
Ooh, God, no, man. It's like, God, what is happening here? Wow. Hello, everybody. If these shows resonate with you, please share. It's our 4th show of the day. We have the beautiful Courtney Beck back with us, and Krishna and company. Hello, Beth, Terry, Yvonnya, Angel Divine, Stephen Kerr, Maria, Jerry Wyden, Delia Flores, Angela Breakerhoff, my friend and future life or past life sister. I know we were in a space pod together, planting seeds on the earth, and a few other things. It's good to see everybody. Welcome back, Courtney.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. It's always enjoyable having you on because you're so cool and so chill and so real and beautiful and all those things. So you got something in mind today. You've got a book you're working on, right? That you're trying to publish.
Yeah, trying to get published at the moment. Yeah.
And you want to talk about one of the chapters? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. So the last time that we caught up, I had a pretty interesting realization and I guess revelation in that that my flesh suit was only going to take me as far as you know how I looked after it. So the last time we chatted, I told you that I was going to go within for a few weeks and stop focusing so much on the outside world and really try to figure out what was going on inside, because I had really high blood pressure due to stress, and I'd been to the doctor and she was like, you might have a stroke or a heart attack if you don't sort yourself out. And that was like mind-blowing for me, because I think I spend so much time in the other realms, I kind of forget that I have a physical body sometimes. So it was really about grounding and doing some, meditation and qigong and really trying to get back in touch with my physical self. Because what I'd realized was, and what I've come to realize since, is that it doesn't really matter what you do on the outside, because if there's an internal battle raging within, that's going to be ultimately our undoing. And for me, that was stress. So what I wanted to read to you today was, it's actually a chapter from the second book that I channeled with Krishna. And the second book is, it's all about the path to enlightenment and Krishna's perspective on that. So the chapter that I wanted to read you is called Traffic.
Traffic.
Yes.
Like in your head traffic.
Yeah. And the amount of fuel that we use on going to destinations that we don't necessarily want to travel to or have really thought about it. Because I think the thing that I realized too was how much attention we unconsciously give to all of these other things, never really doing like a bit of a health check and a head check on whether we're still where we want to be. So it's interesting too, because I decided to do some hypnotherapy as well, to try and really pull my anxiety and stress and how I work with it out by the roots. And I had this really interesting metaphor come to mind, and it was a boardroom filled with all previous versions of myself. And this was essentially what was going on inside my head. There was like the corporate me and a me that was about 13 years old. And there was all of these different versions. And this room was just so noisy because all of these parts of me were trying to like yell over the other one.
Oh, wow.
And what I realized I had to do was to kick everyone out and do a board review. And then essentially what I did is I politely asked everyone to leave, but then I brought back in my spirit team to the forefront, Krishna, Isis, Mariana, and Mara, who are my core team. Because I think we can spend a lot of time living in the past and we can make a lot of our decisions based on the past, when what we need are, you know, people and I guess internal versions of ourselves that can help us move towards our future. So yeah. And that was great for a few weeks until I noticed this morning that I was freaking out about something, and I tuned back into my internal boardroom, and there was fear had stepped back in. And I was like, what? How did you get back in this room? I didn't let you back in. Where did you come from? So then I, you know, called back in, you know, security and asked them to escort fear back out again because that wasn't serving me. But I think we live so much of our lives not really ever making a very conscious and manual assessment on who's running the show in our head and in our heart, and that those reviews are actually very positive to our growth.
Traffic.
Yes, which leads me into traffic. So life presents us with thousands of roads we could take and one very limited fuel tank. Time spent in traffic is time wasted, except traffic does not only happen on the streets, but also in our hearts and minds when we have too many commitments. When we allow ourselves to be stuck in traffic, we waste time. The valuable time we have is spent navigating issues and problems that hold no relevance for us. We are merely stuck in them because we took to the road at the wrong time. Time spent in traffic is time we will never get back. Therefore, when you are thinking about getting involved in something, thinking about the time and the toll it will take on you. Think about the potential time you could be spending on what matters to you. Too often, human beings spend time on everything that does not matter, leaving very minimal time to work on what does. This is a shame, as what matters to us should be taking up all of our time. When we become stuck in traffic in the ways and lives of others and their actions, our mind and heart becomes congested. To remove this congestion uses the very little fuel we have to navigate out of situations that did not require us to be there in the first place. If you are smart, you will always have a full fuel tank and only take trips that you're going to enjoy. Getting involved in the mischief and mania of others uses fuel that you cannot afford to reproduce. Instead, spend your time and your energy on journeys that further your development and do not hinder them. Spend your time planning where you wish to go and on the most effective routes of getting there with minimal traffic. Find places on the way where you can restore your energy and refuel. This may come in the form of spending time with loved ones or something as simple as meditation. Life presents us with thousands of roads we could take and one very limited fuel tank. Remember this as you offer to drive people to places that do not matter to you. Remember this when your fuel is getting low and you don't have enough to get you to your actual destination, the one that you are trying to reach. Think about how many days you have accumulated getting involved in topics or experiences that are not yours to own or to partake in. In life, we have many choices. Who, what, and where you spend your time are some of the most important choices you will ever make. Make them wisely and you will reach the destination you seek. Take journeys down roads you have not planned for that are defined by people or motivations you do not care about, and the time you have to reach your destination will be slim. There are, of course, beautiful diversions with the people we love, but all roads should lead back to home and to our original place of birth, our birthright and our soul's purpose. Living life to aid the purposes of others and neglecting our own may be selfless, but it accomplishes nothing when the true purpose of our time here is to find our own soul's purpose and to fulfill that. Who, what, and where we spend our time in between is up to us. The journey is as long or as windy as you make it. Remember this. And that's it.
Wow. Traffic. How do you stop the traffic?
Well, that's what I've been trying to figure out. And because I think, you know, for most of my time, I've spent my time, you know, taking people in my car to the places that they want to go, and really neglecting, you know, my own path. And that, you know, I guess a very large portion of your group are healers and people who work with other people. And I think it's very natural and easy for healers to give all of their time and energy to other people, but to never really think about the sacrifices we're making on our own journey, which is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not in that category. I'm not a healer, but I mean, we're all healers, but I'm not a healer like you're talking about. But I can see where it's starting to change a little bit. Like, imagine what a healer could do if they did what you said and transformed or focused on themselves, transformed some things in themselves, and then what happens? What are they able to offer after that?
Yeah, because I always remember Krishna once said to me, to be selfless, we must be first selfish. And that was a huge lesson for me, and it really gave me permission to start focusing on myself. But I think it applies to everybody, that we've all got careers, we've got families, we've got friends. And I think it's the nature of human beings to be kind and to want to give to other people. And I think it can be really hard for us to look at our own stuff. And I know for me, doing, you know, working on other people and working on books and things like that has been a distraction, and a very purposeful distraction, to stop me from looking at my own healing.
Right.
Yeah. But I've called myself out on that now. I've called my own bullshit on that.
Well, you know what? I think that takes a lot. I talk to a lot of people, and I think I still think everyone's beating the same vibration. It just doesn't look that way. But
yeah,
as we talk about this stuff and try to make sense of it, I don't know. It's the people that tell me they don't get phased, they don't get triggered, they don't get influenced by energies coming down. I find that a little hard to believe. I just don't see anybody walking on water. Why, if we were going to be, if that's what ultimately we get to, that's fantastic. That's great. But obviously that's where we came from. Obviously this is all new, what we're doing now. Why would we want to get out of here? Why would we spend all of our time, you know, we've come to this point where we're no longer externalizing everything and getting to the point you're talking about, dealing with the traffic. And so that's where I'm at. I was like, what happens once we do that? What happens once we start to control the traffic in our head, halt the traffic, and start to do what Krishna told you to do? Something occurs to us, something transforms in us, and then it seems like it goes into a different kind of experience. And maybe that's what we're walking into. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's where the magic happens. It's just often, I think it's, you know, better the devil you know than the one you don't. And it's easier for us to just try and keep everything the same. And I think with what you're talking about healing, is that how I see it is, it's just like layers of an onion. And we are that onion for all of our life and all of our lives. Like there's one massive onion that's kind of all of our experiences. And I think, you know, every time we do some healing work, we pull another layer off. And then when that next layer comes off, you know, we begin to experience the world in a new way. And there's a whole new set of triggers or traumas or experiences that we're having, and different lessons. And I never say this to people because I guess I think we can romanticize this idea that one day we'll be healed, and that we'll get to this place where it's like rosy and it's like paradise here on earth. But, you know, from everything that I've learned, life is just one big continuous healing journey. And the more we can kind of recognize and sit with that, it actually takes the pressure off, because you're not going for this, like, you know, 90s holiday, you know, this 90s like rom-com film where everything looks perfect. Because that's a really hard expectation to meet, because you know, we can control ourselves. And what I'm learning is that I can control how stormy the sea is inside of me, but we can never control the outside world and the decisions of other people and what's going on with world events and things like that. So Yeah, I think if we can embrace that lifelong healing journey, it kind of becomes softer in a way. Hopefully no one wants to slap me for saying that, but
Well, I mean, you can change the word out. You can say
yeah,
some people will, that healing would appeal to them. Some people expansion, transformation.
evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's you can't stop. That's the whole point. That's what I was
yeah,
getting at earlier. When somebody puts their proverbial feet up on the desk and sets them down and says, "Okay, I'm there," I just go, I'm not, and I'd
yeah,
rather be not than there, because there doesn't look too appealing to me. There
yeah.
looks like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't buy it. I don't think anybody knows the answer. Nobody. None of us. And
Yeah,
why would we, in the grand design, allow ourselves to know the answer during the dream? It would take all the fun out.
yeah.
It would take all
And
the surprise out.
I find with my own journey, the further I get along with it, the more vulnerable and exposed I feel. Like if anything, it's
Right?
the more triggered I feel, the more I go along. Because I was saying to someone the other day, like ignorance is bliss. Like when you feel like you can control everything, it's a nice space to be, to have that belief. But I think what the spiritual awakening process has taught me is that it's kind of the master course in learning to surrender and learning to give up your control, which is really tough. But I was going to say too, like, there's that saying that comparison is the thief of joy, and I think it's really easy for us to look at other people and to be like, wow, they've really got their shit together. They look really good. And a lot of people in the spiritual space do sell that dream of, like, people say to me all the time, they're like, oh, you must be living the dream life. You work in the spirit world and you seem so relaxed. And I'm like, that's just my Instagram feed. You should see me when I'm offline. Like it's, I think the more of us that can be really real about what we're facing, it just gives other people the permission to deal with their own stuff.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
having that heightened idea of, and selling this kind of godly or angelic status is like a beautiful idea, but I think it puts a lot of distance and it can be quite isolating for a lot of people who don't have their stuff together.
Yeah, and even for the
None of us
person,
do.
and even for the person that thinks they do. Yeah, because that's what I'm getting at. You said you feel more raw. Like, you would think after you elevate and cross into a new threshold or higher ground that you feel like, closer to Krishna or Jesus or Buddha or whatever the case is, but you actually feel more raw. You actually come up to this higher ground and you go, oh, wow, this is great, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that part of me or that part of me. And I agree with you too. I think that the most powerful thing that any of us are doing, I'll say it that way. I'm not going to say can do, but what I see out there, and I've been saying it, the most powerful activations, downloads, and transmissions that we can experience are from each other. And it's not from the how to. Let me tell you what's wrong with those people. Let me tell you what's right with those people. And I, this, and them, that. It's actually saying, you know what? I'm a healer. My name's Courtney Beck. I communicate daily with Krishna and company. And sometimes I'm a hot mess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, it really is. It's like, enough of these, I don't know. It's just, God, what do you do? I mean, just relax into it. Just, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. It's just, yeah. But I love the fact that you can be so open like that and make those admissions, because we spend so much of our life denying everything.
Well, I've actually found, like, initially I found it really scary, and I was like, how can I say that I heal people and still have so many weaknesses and wounds, myself, even though I'm relatively put together and I've had a whole heap of life experiences. But that really scared me initially, because I was like, if I let people see my wounds, then how will they want to come to me to heal their own wounds? But then what I realized is that I couldn't meet this expectation of myself, this perfect bar that I'd set that was really high. I was like, I can't meet that. And it's a lie if I try and say that I'm like that all the time, because I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I am, like you said, a hot mess, and sometimes, and it's actually been a really freeing experience. So what initially felt really weak, and I guess what initially felt like I was exposing myself and almost like walking naked into the sunlight in the middle of the day has actually become really empowering and strengthening. And it's almost a bit like coming home at the end of the day and like taking your bra off. Like, not that you would know what that was like, Todd, but like coming home and kind of but like coming home and just like letting it all hang out. And it's kind of it's been really empowering to be able to do that. And it's made life more enjoyable, because I think we don't actually realize how much energy we waste on trying to pretend that everything is okay. Or, you know, all of these masks that we try to uphold as like, you know, the perfect co-worker, the perfect wife, husband, all of these things, when if we could just drop all those masks and just be one, everything comes easier.
Shar Domke says, and life doesn't stop because you had your awakening.
Yes.
Right. Well, and two, you know, the other thing about, look, you know, and the guy, everything's changing very rapidly. You know, you're seeing less projection, you're seeing less shadow, you're seeing more open-mindedness and things like that. But these transmissions, downloads, channeling, these connections that people have, and everybody has it to some degree or another. Some people don't even talk about it. Some people aren't even really conscious of it. Some people still think it's just a figment of their imagination. Some people take it very seriously. It's not a line of differentiation. It's just a part of you, just like these weaknesses that you're talking about. And you're not afraid to talk about it, which is cool. But at the same time, like you said, if I'm going to spend all my time talking about Krishna and company and that part of me, and I don't spend any time talking about the human part of me and what I'm going through that I don't fully understand, it doesn't have the value that it would otherwise.
Yeah.
This is my take on it. And I don't wear a bra.
Yeah, so it's been very freeing, and I would so encourage other people to share more of themselves. And I think we can really build it up in our mind. Like sometimes I'll share things and I'll almost wait for like a bomb to go off, and the bomb never explodes. Like, you know, you might ruffle someone's feathers when you say something, but I think we're all learning. We all have things that are really important to share. We're all coming from totally different perspectives. And by sharing how we're feeling and how we're going through it, it takes the isolation out of it for other people, because this spiritual awakening process can be, I think, one of the most isolating experiences in the world, especially if you don't have anyone around you that's going through the same thing. And even if they are, it's going to be totally different for them than what it is for you.
Yeah. And it can also be, you know, very polarizing, just like religion or nationalism or idealism or whatever you want to call it, ism, you know. And that's another thing that you see evolving in the community, you know, where, and I said the community, but just where I hang out, what I see out there. There's, I don't know, something seems to be taking a hold. Likes begetting like, call it soul tribes or whatever. Maybe that's part of the reason people are more comfortable, and there's less finger pointing and that type of thing. Less focus on others, more focus on yourself. I don't know. I don't know if it's kind of a preordained template that we're modifying as we go, but that basically the energy's moving us that direction anyway. If you look at the conversation I had on the previous show, John McIntosh, great guy, very, very connected. There's a 26,000 year cycle, 10,000 of masculine patriarchal, 2,000 years of balance, back into the feminine. Slowly it becomes imbalanced, and it just goes on and on. I don't even buy into concepts like that. I've heard of them. They don't mean anything to me. None of that stuff means anything to me anymore. It's just right here, right now. That's all that means anything to me. The things that make me happy, my relationship, my work, you know, sending out good vibes, whatever. I don't know. It's just, you know, I just feel like sometimes we overcomplicate it. But I really believe that what you're saying is getting in touch and expounding on what you call your weaknesses or whatever you want to call them. That's gold. That's better than, not that what you channel isn't gold, but man, what you're saying as an individual, having that information given to you first before you spread it out, and then still going there and saying, hey, I have my bad days. Hey, I'm a hot mess. hey, I got triggered, you know, whatever. That's gold, absolute gold. Without any explanation of, oh, if it happens to you, here's what you do. You know, A, B, C, take a few breaths, you know, take a shot, whatever your remedy is.
Yeah.
But no, you're saying this is how I feel. And sometimes I don't even know what, you know, I don't have the answer. I just can tell you I'm starting here and saying that it happens to me. And what is the, nothing happens until you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we can live so much of our lives just on a surface level, and that can take up all of our time, and we never really get deeper than, you know, what's going on here. And what I've really noticed, which has been really interesting for me doing it, because I have no hesitation in calling in amazing healers around me to say, hey, I need help, which was something I really struggled with. You know, in my previous life in the corporate world, I never wanted to admit that I needed help. Whereas now I'm like, hey, come at me. And it's been really interesting doing a different modality like hypnotherapy, because it's been interesting just going through that process and seeing the really unconscious depths that are within me, and that naturally our body wants to resolve everything within us. It's just that we don't give it the chance or the airtime to do that. And so by giving myself in the morning, like I have, you know, I go out for a stroll, I do some qigong to get the energy circulating in my body, I do a meditation, and it's been incredible, the difference already. And even Jules, my partner, has said how much calmer I've been since I've been dedicating the first sort of 2 or 3 hours of the day in the morning to myself.
Wow.
And that means like getting up at 5 so that I can be ready on time. But it's made a huge difference, and I felt like that storm within me has definitely decreased, or that I've definitely realized that it's up to me. Whilst I can't control the weather around me, which is actually one of my fantasies, I can control what's going on inside of me.
So it's taken you, your routine's 2 or 3 hours every morning. But that's good. I mean, that's you know, I just did something. I'm not going to talk about it because it's just something I don't want to talk about. But I just said, there's something I want to do, so I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stop doing this for the time being so I can be as clear as possible, because I've got some things I want to do.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's not like I'm suffering anything. It's something I enjoy, but something told me do this.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to honor that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to one of Joe Dispenza's books, and he was talking about with his meditation routine that he allows himself 2 hours. And he's like, a lot of people would be like, that's a crazy amount of time. But he said, I could probably do it in an hour, but I'd be really aware that I only had an hour, and that my mind would eventually be creeping in with deadlines and things like that. So he allows himself 2 hours so that he knows that he can just relax. So where I could probably do my routine in like, you know, an hour and a half if I wanted to, I think it's allowing that space. And I think we deserve that space, because we give so much of ourselves to everything around us, that one-on-one time with ourselves is just, it's crucial. And without it, we can stay stuck. And that's probably one of the biggest learnings I've had from doing this, is that I can grow even faster when I give time back to myself.
Yeah. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't meditate. I don't know. I could. I've never meditated for 2 hours. I've had 2 hour plus dimensional experiences, or whatever you want to call them, meditative experiences. But yeah, for me, it's, I don't know. It can be 30 minutes to an hour. It can be 15 minutes, 5 minutes. It can be a walk. It can be working, doing a show. That's probably my best one. Like even this morning, I was like, had energy all over me after the last couple of days. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to sit down and do the show, because I can go, it's a meditative thing. Sometimes, not all the time, but it's just like, it balanced me. It pinpointed me into a certain place where I've got to like align.
Yeah, it's flow. It's like a flow state for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was, because I was like all over the place, you know, like I got to go for a walk, you know, I can't sit still. It's just, I don't know. So it's always different, but everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Yeah. And I think if we can, even if we can dedicate a little bit of time to ourselves, and I think that can be a really foreign concept for a lot of people. They're not actually, I mean, out of everyone that I see with my healing work, most of them are really uncomfortable with the idea of doing anything for themselves. And I think, there's that expectation around being a parent that you should give everything to your kids, but, you can't give everything to your kids if you've got nothing left. So if you can do, a 5-minute meditation in the morning, that is better than nothing. And if you can get used to doing little acts of self-love for yourself, then eventually you can create more space. It just naturally grows, I think.
I totally agree with that. I tell, however you do it, be by yourself. Be by yourself every day, a little bit every day. I have to. I absolutely have to. Morgan has to. And it's just part of our day. And sometimes we could be alone, but in the same space, we just don't say anything.
Yeah.
We go to the beach, we sit down next to each other, we don't say anything for 30, 45 minutes. But there's definitely times when I go for a walk, she goes to the park, whatever the case is. I mean, I have to have it. I cannot function. I haven't been able to function most of my life. I've always done that, even back in the day, pre-wake up, kids, job, all that stuff. And I used to go into the closet, close the door into a walk-in closet and just sit there. And I guess I was talking to the universe, talking to myself. I don't know. But I have to have it. I have to have it.
Yeah. But I think it's amazing that you do that. And the fact that you and Morgan can sit in silence together for 45 minutes is I think, it's a testament to your relationship, because I think sometimes silence, even in really small doses, can be incredibly uncomfortable for people, because I think we live in this world where we're so used to being entertained constantly. We've got our phones with us. We've got multiple apps we can tune into, and we've kind of lost that ability to sit with our own thoughts. So I think 45 minutes is almost like marine, Tough Mudder level.
Well, you can get to, the thing is you can just have a few minutes, but it's kind of like a meditation. It's just kind of like a basic Zen meditation. I'm 5 feet from the wall, I'm sitting down on a pillow, and that first 5 minutes you have things coming in. They come in, you take it in, you let it go, take it in, let it go, and then you hit this point. And I think that's what it's like when we started doing that. It started happening naturally. We just walk and you don't say anything, but so much is said. So much is said to yourself. Or between you and the other person, but the silence speaks volumes. And I can't think around all that stuff. I can't think around. I have to walk away. At the most, I might turn on an instrumental while I'm walking, but most of the time I don't even do that. Most of the time I walk in silence. And, I don't know. That works for me. That works for me, but it can be a lot of things. So tell me more about this book. This is the second book?
Yeah. So this was the first book. So this is Conversations with Krishna. I'll hold that up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was a guide for life on earth as we were destined to live. So he does like 111 different topics on everything from life, love, climate change. It's a really beautiful read. But the second book is definitely all about stripping ourselves back, and it's kind of like the perfect companion to the awakening process, because he kind of holds your hand going through that experience. And
do you have that one bound? That one's not bound yet?
No, not yet. So I feel like we're pretty close to getting a publisher, hopefully, because that's my favorite text. I guess that has been the text that has accompanied me through my own spiritual awakening.
So traffic was one chapter in that book?
Yeah. So there's actually.
So what are the other chapters? I'm just curious. I like that.
So there's so the other one that I was going to read was called Magnitude, and it was about our I guess the importance of our actions here on Earth and what we can accomplish when we're all working together. But yeah, this one's a bit of a beast. So it's close to 500 pages, and it's got 139 chapters on
139 chapters.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a monster.
But I like that. 2, 3, 4 page chapters. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was an avid reader, a voracious reader for years and years and years, and I read very fast. But there was sometimes I would have to speed read through,
Yeah.
where they got cumbersome. So this one's called, what did you say? This
It's called Awakened Souls.
No, the chapter, the second chapter, magnitude. What did you
Yeah,
say?
magnitude.
Yeah, let's hear that one.
All right, let me
Hear that
pull that one up. Actually, maybe.
Or whatever one you want. With the 139 chapters, it shouldn't be too hard to find one.
maybe what I'll do is I'll do shedding, because this is one of my favorite chapters.
Yeah.
If you can become the seeker, you will find all that you are looking for. But to be light enough to travel that far and to such depths, you must shed. To become enlightened, you must shed. You must shed all of your worldly possessions until all you have left is all you care about. A few key things. You must release the relationships you do not need, which do not serve you. You must shed all that you are now and all that you are not. To find your true self, you must know and understand all that you are not. To find your true self, you must shed the identity you have today and who you planned on being tomorrow. You must discard any future dreams and goals connected to a life of accumulation. You must shed anything and everything from the human world that ties you to any particular outcome. To find enlightenment, you must seek enlightenment and be prepared to sacrifice and leave all that you are now behind. Think of it as setting off on a pilgrimage to a higher plane, to a location you've never been to before, or to a place in the world so remote that only a few have ever been there. You are a traveler and you are seeking the mountaintop, the center of the jungle, the place where it all began. If you can become the seeker, you will find all that you are seeking. But to be light enough to travel that far and to such depths, you must shed. There is no point taking all you have now into tomorrow, as you do not need it. What you must learn is that all you seek lies not in the world around you, but inside of you. Enlightenment is about finding the light within, not searching for the light in a person, situation, or experience. From today, begin a process of shedding. Shed all of the things you do not need so you can see and understand all that is valuable to you. Cull all of what you have down to a few precious objects you hold dear or truly need. Move through your home shedding until all you have left is what you value, remembering that your identity does not lie in things, it lies in you. Next, begin looking at the people in your life. Think about those you love and those you do not. Keep those you love and who are supportive of you, and shed those who are not. We understand this sounds overly simplified, but it is not. There are simply those who love you and those who do not. Keep only those people who support your journey to enlightenment, and shed those who believe the earthly plane is a better place for you. On any journey, you need supporters who can encourage you to keep moving when the path gets rocky. These are the people who you value and who value you. Keep those precious few. Next, shed the work that is not good for you. Once again, we understand this may sound simplified, but it is not. There merely is work that is good for you and your soul, and work that is not. If your work is not right for you, shed it and find something that elevates you. Not all jobs are glorious, but some will be more suited to you than others. Seek out those jobs and throw your heart and soul into them. Remember that the path to enlightenment will not be easy. To travel light, first you must shed. Shedding means losing the identity you have wrapped up in things. Things are not who you are. You are who you are. If you can shed all that no longer brings you value, you will feel lighter, freer, and will feel more comfortable setting off on your spiritual journey. Free yourself up so you can leave tomorrow, today, in a week, or in a month's time. Do what you need to, and once you start the process, everything will immediately become easier, as shedding is self-perpetuating. As you release objects, people, and work from your life, thank them for their contribution, then let them go. Letting go is like releasing an anchor so the ship may become free again. Therefore, see shedding not as a negative, but as a positive and possible opportunity that could change your life. Begin today, as tomorrow will always remain as tomorrow if you let it be this way. Life will not wait for you, as life continues no matter what. Be kind to yourself, be kind to those you are releasing, but then let go and never look back. On the journey ahead, when you are light and the possessions and people you carry are few, you will feel free, boundless, and weightless, which is how all journeys should be. The lighter you are, the more you will enjoy your trip.
Yeah. Wow. So when this stuff came in, was it a message to you, do you feel?
Yeah, well, I would just tune in every day and say, what do you want to talk about today, Krishna? And he would just come up with the topic, and that would be what I would channel. And it takes about 15 or 20 minutes just for it all to come through. But yeah, I always knew that book was about the path to enlightenment. And but it definitely did accompany me on my journey, because as I was downloading it.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, do you feel like, because as the individual goes, so goes the collective. I mean, so do you feel like that was your personal, meant for you first? I mean, just like, did you?
Yeah.
I know when I did it, or when I've done it, I mean, I can't say that I do it, but I know I did at times, especially years ago, but I didn't always apply it. I didn't see it as being for me. I saw it as, oh my God, this is incredible wisdom. I got to get it out there. And, but it wasn't until later when I said, I knew that, but I didn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, I went back and looked at it more that it was directed towards me first and foremost. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely held my hand through that process, just as he held my hand through kind of, this first book really recalibrated my view on the world. Like, for instance, I think I was so blissfully unaware in my old life and who I was before that if there was a spider in the house, I'd kill it. I could never kill anything now. Like, that book changed my perspective, in that I now believe that everything has a consciousness, everything has a job that it's doing, and we should try and keep everything, that we can alive. So, like, interesting, yesterday I went to a spiritual get together with a friend of mine, and on the way home we were driving and we hit this beautiful little like swallow bird, and it just flew really low and it flew right in front of the car. And I was like, quickly, so we got to turn the car around. So I went and got this little bird off the road, and I had no idea if it was going to live or not, but I was like, I've got to throw everything I've got at this. Like, called in Isis, because Isis does a lot of work with animals, and we just pumped energy into this little bird for 45 minutes to an hour, and it ended up flying away. But the idea that we might have lost it, and then we might have taken a life yesterday just by kind of going about our thing, that really, I think that shows how much I've changed, because in the past I probably wouldn't have. Now I see everything as equal, whereas in the past I think I had a bit of a hierarchy going on as to human beings are the most important. And
well, we all did. We were all arrogant assholes. But the thing is, I think that's just becoming a wider experience now, a wider understanding. People are starting to look at everything as sentient, because it is ultimately. I mean, it really is. Now that we kind of got past the point of, hey, we're all the same. If I hurt you, I'm hurting me, and oneness is humans. It doesn't just stop there.
Yeah.
Then of course it keeps going up, or sideways, or backwards, or whatever that direction is, where you have the galactics, the angelics, the divine essences, the elementals, and all that stuff. Off planet, off universe, known, unknown.
Yeah, there was a psychic that I was chatting to, and she said, like, really the ultimate goal while we're here is just to not create any new karma. And I think that's such a good rule to live by, that we don't create, that we're really mindful of our relationships and how we impact other people, and that we remember that everyone's on their own journey, but that we try not to leave a footprint in the world, whether that be with plants and animals, or if we can just bring love to the table every time, the world would be a very different place.
Yeah, there's something about interference too, like interfering with the natural process, interfering infringing on another space.
Yeah.
You know, how do you define space? If somebody says they own an animal or they own a piece of land, I mean, is that really their space? I don't see that. I don't know. And I know that sounds idealistic and futuristic, but I don't know. There's something about the energy that we're carrying now, and the level of awareness that we're carrying now, that we can actually create. We can create whatever we want, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see it as sooner or later we got to take a stand against what is not real. Which, you know,
Yeah.
some people will say none of it's real. Well,
Mm.
I go back to the same thing. I'm here. You're here. I'm not going to be me again. You're not going to be you again. As far as I know, I might not even be here after this is over. How do we really know anything? You know,
Yeah.
it's just like we seem to have some type of effect, like a super quantum effect, based on, like your friend said, just try not to develop any karma, which means just be cool, chill out, love it, you know, send the love out, and create, you know, different things like that. Like you're writing books and doing the stuff you do. I mean, this is living, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, giving back when we can as well, because everyone's doing it tough, you know, whilst we can all put on a happy face, like it's all relative, you know, there's no one really that's going through more than another, because we're all on our own journeys. So yeah. And I think the thing with this little bird yesterday, and it amazingly, it actually, after the hour, it took off and flew, and I was like, awesome. We haven't changed, like, I mean, just by us, you know, driving on the road yesterday, we potentially changed the path of something else. And it was great to be able to restore that balance. And I think we can be that power for other people as well. We can help them, you know, stay upright and help propel them along their own path if we're just a bit more mindful and we look to the world around us and what we can do and what we can give.
Something just came into the room. I'm
The
serious.
spirit or Morgan?
No, not Morgan. She's down at the beach, evening her tan. But something just came in. I'll deal with it. You know, it was happening on the previous show. There was all kinds of stuff happening, but I couldn't get a beat on any of it. It was all moving so fast.
Okay.
But right when you were talking, Sasha says a bird. Sasha also said, "What happens when you eat meat?" I don't know.
Well,
I'm just gonna say, live and let live.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a hot dog when the show's over. Some people might say, "Yeah, go ahead."
I think once again that comes down to everybody's choices, and it's everybody's journey as to where they're at, and I think we all have the right to make our own decisions. I think what we need to end is cruelty. So our daughter Bella, who's 14, she's been volunteering at an animal sanctuary where they'll take, like, you know, chickens that have never seen the sunlight or walked on grass. They'll save those creatures and bring them to a space where it's like heaven. They can just like explore, and it's beautiful. And they've got, you know, all kinds of different animals that have gone through lots of trauma. And I think for me, that's what I would love to see end, is that we don't do these cruel things to other creatures.
Well,
because
to gain something at the expense of another. That energetic could look a lot of different ways. Laurel says even lettuce has feelings, and you know what? How do you know plants have feelings? So I mean, you know, I just try to align with everything as best I can. Somebody said that was a door closing. There's not a door over there, Terry. Terry's an old friend. There's not a door there. It's just a window.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say, I think if we can just be mindful of our actions, like Krishna said to me once, and I can't think which book it was in, that if we as human beings could be hunted, we would think about what we hunt in a totally different way. We would take far less. So I think it's just about being mindful of all of our resources and what we actually need versus what becomes like excess.
Right on. So okay, tell us again, where can we find you, what you're doing, what's available, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.courtneybeck.co. You can find me at courtneybeck.co on Instagram as well, which is where I'm sharing all of the insights from my crazy journey. you can pick up this little bit of magic on Amazon, Conversations with Krishna, and hopefully we'll have a new book published soon.
Very good. And do you do sessions?
Yeah, so we do one-on-one healing sessions, which I always say to people, the best thing you can tell us is like how you're feeling mentally, emotionally, and physically, and we can work with anything. So I work with Krishna, Isis, Mariana, and Mara, who are my kind of team. And my job is to document everything that happens in that session and everything that we work on. So
wow. And people can get in touch with you on Messenger?
Yeah. So I answer lots of emails. So people will email me and say, you know, can you help me with this? Or so it's always happy to take questions on, and always happy to, you know, if I can't help to direct people onto someone who I know potentially can. So
very cool. There's nothing wrong with a practitioner too that says I don't know.
Yes.
Especially if they refer you to somebody else. Right on. All right. Well, best to you, Jules, and everybody over there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, keep on being you, being raw and vulnerable and real, down to earth, and in touch with your perceived weaknesses or whatever you want to call it, because we need more of that.
Thank you, Todd. And thank you very much for having me, and thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Okay. You take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.